Welcome back to Bobcat of Buffalo. Today what I want to do is give you guys a presentation of what it's like to come to Bobcat of Buffalo as a homeowner who doesn't know anything about operating our equipment and how you can rent that and actually make use of it yourself. Today I have a new hire here at Bobcat of Buffalo, Drew, our service writer. He's a 16-year-old kid and he is going to demonstrate for you what exactly it's like to, for the very first time, operate a Bobcat excavator. How you feeling about this, Drew?
Good.
Yeah, do you feel confident?
Fairly.
All right, well, I'm excited to get started. Climb up in that machine. Okay, so the first thing that I want to show you, Drew, is this. This is your drive control, okay? So these two sticks right here, the right stick controls the right side of the machine, and the left stick controls the left side of the machine. All right, and you can see that there's actually foot pedals to help. So if you're traveling a long distance, you don't have to keep awkwardly leaning forward in your seat. There's a lot of room in that cab, right?
Very much so.
So you got windows, you have heat and air conditioning, which is something that we keep in all of our excavators here that we have for rent. And then you have your heads-up display, which is going to give you all the important stuff about the machine dynamics. And if you hit the left arrow, you can kind of scroll through. And the fuel gauge, that's important. When you rent from us, you're going to get it full of fuel, just bring it back full of fuel. Over here, you have your on-off switch, so we're going to go ahead and shut the machine off. All the way to the left is off. You'll turn it on, it'll start the machine right up, okay? Your throttle is over here right above it, and you go ahead and move that down, and you notice how it's toward the turtle. Turtle just means your engine's moving slower. You turn that up, you hear the engine speeding up. That just means you're going to get more torque and more power out of the engine, okay? Similar to how the accelerator in a car, but since you're working with equipment, it's actually going to put more power to your digging equipment, okay? All right, well, what I want you to do, Drew, real quick, do you feel comfortable enough to drive this out back to the digging site?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Let's go ahead and do that. Now, last thing I want to say before we do that is in order to operate this equipment, you're going to have to drop this lever right here. You push this down, and I'm not going to do it because I'm standing on the side of the machine, but when you push that down, it'll allow you to operate the functions of the machine, okay? So, easy way to shut all the functions of the machine off is just grab that lever and lift it up. Okay, if you're in an operational position. All right, so go ahead and do that, drive out back. And just like that, he knows how to drive this thing out back. All right, Drew. Go ahead and lift your bar up. So if you look over there on that arm, there's a yellow button. That button is a 2-speed button. When you click, go ahead and click it and watch your screen. There's the rabbit right there, that little green rabbit. And when you click that yellow button, that puts it in 2-speed. Now you don't want to dig when you're in 2-speed. But you can drive in 2-speed in a straight line. You don't want to turn in 2-speed either, okay? So if you're driving a long distance, put it in 2-speed, it'll help you go faster. So we were actually just driving out here and we noticed somebody had tested an auger back here, and we don't want to leave these holes here because somebody could fall and trip. So what I'm going to actually go ask him to do, and he has no idea I'm going to ask him to do this, I'm going to ask him to smooth these out as best he can. Let's see what he does. So Drew, what I'm going to ask you to do right now is somebody tested an auger over there. Can you see it?
Okay, yeah.
You see those holes? I want you to go down there and use your blade, this blade right here, and just kind of smooth that over as best you can. Now you can get whatever angle you want, do it however you think you intuitively should fill in those holes, but make it so nobody's going to trip and hurt themselves. Now this is the way you use the blade. That handle that has the yellow button is your blade control. Go ahead and push that forward. When you push that handle down, it drops the blade. When you pull that handle back, it lifts the blade. You see that? All right, now use that blade and go ahead and fill those in. Let's see what he does here. I'm actually interested in seeing what happens. I almost just tripped and died. Okay. So he's digging a little bit deep. You don't want to dig when you're using that blade to backfill. You just want to fill. And let's see how he does this here. Let's see if he backdrags. I hope he's not going to backdrag. You tell me when you're done. So he didn't feel that one scoop was enough. Let's see what he does. Okay, so he is going to try to back that dirt on there. Now here's what he's doing wrong, I'll tell you guys. He's a little timid. You don't need to be timid. This is a lot like a shovel. You can use it however you want to. You do want to be careful, but when you're dealing with just dirt, you can really lift the front end of that machine up with the blade and then back that dirt right over top of the holes. And you'll be fine to do that. You're all set? Okay, so that's what he did. So let's see how he did. So the holes are gone. Let's see if I can stick my foot into one of them. Well, that was the deepest one, so I'm not going to be able to trip at least into those holes. Here's one of the holes that was there. Looks like he got it all filled in with one scoop right there. No shovel work whatsoever, and you could use it to the blade to just kind of level that out a little bit more, but other than that, it looks good. All right. Okay, Drew, here's what I want you to do next. I want you to go over there, right to that wood pile, grab some of that wood, lift it up, and let's move it all the way to the other side of the pile, and then drop it back in the pile. Can you do that? Sure. Okay, he says no problem. Let's see if he remembers the controls. Okay, so first things first, I'm gonna lift this handle up so that you don't accidentally hit one of these controls and hurt me. All right, so now we're in a safe position. You can't move the machine. And it depends on what control pattern you're in. Let me check that real quick. So under the seat here, you can actually open. And under the seat, there is a control block over there on the left. You see it in silver. And this here, if you turn it sideways, it's going to be one control pattern. And it's in vertical right now, which means it's in what I like to call Bobcat pattern. Which means that this one is actually not going to control the boom cylinder. That's going to control the arm cylinder on the top of the arm and the bucket cylinder down by the bucket, okay? So when you pull this back, it's going to pull that dipper arm towards you. When you push it out, it's going to push that cylinder up top out, and suck it in, and it's going to push that arm further away from you, okay? And don't be afraid to, push that control around and figure out what it does. There's nothing around you, Then if you move it to the right, it'll control the other cylinder on the bucket, so you'll see that it'll bring the bucket in and out on the machine, okay? Okay. So that's what this stick does, all right? Now this stick over here, when this is down, if you pull this stick back, it's gonna operate that boom cylinder I was telling you about at the bottom. So if you pull it back towards you, it's gonna pull the boom up. If you push it away, it's gonna push the boom down, okay? Gotcha. If you move it to the left or the right, it's going to spin the entire carriage of this machine around in a 360 degree, okay? So you can very easily push it one way and spin all the way around, and your tracks will stay pointing wherever you had them pointing, okay? Now how do you operate your thumb? Let me show you. Basically, all you do is you come down here to your touch screen and see this little icon right there in the top right. That's your hydraulics. You're gonna push that. That turns your hydraulics on, and there's different levels of flow that you're sending there, so you can turn it down or you can turn it up to make it operate faster, or for different types of attachments that need more flow. But for the clamp, we'll just put it right in the middle. That'll be fine. And when you go to operate the clamp, it's just this thumb switch. Rock that back and forth. If it's not that one, it's this one. On this hand control, it just depends on which way it's set up. But it should just be this, right and left, and that'll move your clamp in and out, okay? That cylinder on that clamp out there, that's what that operates, okay? So you're gonna use all of the stuff I just taught you in a matter of 1 minute and 40 seconds, and you're going to go move some logs. He's going to bring it over. He's going to drive straight at the pile, which again, he could have turned the house carriage right around and not had to spin, because if you spin like that, you'll create some damage to your lawn. So you really don't want to spin. You want to use that house carriage to spin around if you're doing something like this on nice lawn. All right, let's give him his next task. One thing I just quickly want to address, this is what you'll do to your lawn if you spin in a circle. You always want to take sweeping wide turns with excavators on wet turf. So what I'm going to have him do is I'm actually going to have him dig, and I'm going to tell him in a second, but I'm going to have him pretend that this has an erosion problem and it's your driveway in the winter, and I'm going to have him dig a ditch right up the middle of it, just to kind of swale that water to one spot and then bring it down to the bottom. And let's see how he does. All right, jump out of there. Now here's what I want you to do, okay? You see the bottom of the hill?
Yeah.
And the top of the hill right here, okay? So I want you to pretend that there's a creek, and we need to control that creek's overflow in the summertime, okay? When the water gets high. And I want you to dig a 2-foot deep trench all the way down this hill and then make it ground level at the bottom so that water can swale out and go wherever, okay?
Okay.
Rather than damaging the rest of the driveway. So let's see how you do on that project. The very first thing to remember is just your digging implement controls. I'm not even going to go over them again with you. I'm going to let you get in that machine and just kind of feel it, and we'll see what you come up with.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, go start the machine and get after it. All right, kill it. Okay, first, what did you think?
It got pretty easy after a while. I mean, it's pretty much just, you know, muscle memory, remembering same steps over and over.
Okay, what was the most difficult part?
I'd say every once in a while or so, I'd say, you know, you'd get that lump of dirt that just wouldn't want to come out.
So ground related stuff, right? As you get in there more, there's techniques you'll learn to deal with ground like that. Why don't you step out? Let's take a look at how you did.
Is it a little shallow, would you say, or?
Well, I think you're 2 foot deep. I think you're too deep at the top. Your ground swale would need work. Obviously, you'd want to do some finish work on this. And again, this is not a realistic scenario either. You would never put a drainage ditch right in the center of a driveway, but this ditch should work for if you're burying a line or a cable or something like that. Another thing is, as you're taking these chunks, it's kind of hard to see on video, but as you're taking these chunks, you kind of end up with a stair pattern. And what you want to do to fix that is right what you did at the end with putting your bucket in with the teeth down, and just kind of dragging that out to smooth it out. That would fix all of these problems. There's a number of other ways to do it that I'm sure my operators will let me know in the comments the best way to get a smooth flat bottom trench for my homeowners. If you would just comment and let them know. But other than that, yeah, I mean, it took about probably 40 minutes. This is close to a, let me see here. This has got to be a 90 to 100 foot trench, 2 foot deep, with the goal. He's probably 3 foot deep at the top, 2 foot deep halfway down, and about a foot deep right at the bottom. So Drew, what do you think? Are you proud of your trench?
I think it could be better, but for my first time, I'd say it was, you know, decent.
So how long did it take you?
Around 40 minutes or so.
And when's the first time you've ever driven an excavator?
Today.
Oh yeah? Did I give you good instructions, or were some of them bad?
No, they were very good, sir.
Okay. You can be honest, it's okay. The viewers want to know.
Yeah.
So would you rent an excavator if you had a ditch to dig?
I would say so, yes.
How long do you think this would have taken to dig by hand?
8 to 10 hours, probably.
Well, you're probably the best shovel man I've ever met. That's awfully optimistic, but no, I'll take your word for it. All right, Drew. Well, thank you for your time today. And if anybody has any questions or needs, reach out to us, 716-625-6092. Wave goodbye, Drew.